Hello dear students. In last class we were discussing about the frequency distribution. Frequency distribution is nothing but method of classifying raw data of a quantitative variable. Once again I repeat, frequency distribution is a method of classifying raw data of quantitative variable. Okay, the method of classifying raw data of quantitative variable. Okay, in the variable already we discussed about continuous and discrete. So here how we can understand the frequency distribution? Frequency is nothing but, see, the number of values in a particular class. The number of values in a particular class. Number of values. Number of value. Okay, number of value is in a particular class. These are called as classes. In last class only I explained that these are called as classes. Okay, these are called as frequencies. Frequency is nothing but number of values in a particular class. Frequency means number of values in a particular class. So this is frequency distribution. Frequency distribution is a method of classifying the raw data of quantitative variable. Okay, method of classifying raw data of quantitative variable, that is called only frequency distribution. Frequency means is nothing but the number of values in a particular class. Okay, in a particular class, these are called as classes. Here you have to understand each class in a frequency distribution. Each class in a frequency distribution table is bounded as class limits. These are called as class limits. Listen carefully. Each class in a frequency distribution table is bounded by class limits. So what are the class limits? Actually, class limits are the two ends of classes. Two ends. This is one end, another one is end. Okay, one second end. Okay, each class having a two end of classes or two ends, two types of ends. That means class limits are each class, we have to understand, class limits are the two ends of class. We are discussing about frequency distribution to understand the statistical data. Otherwise, when we are collecting the raw data to classify it on the basis of chronological, on the basis of spatial, on the basis of qualitative, on the basis of quantitative, we can divide or we can classify the raw data to understand easily. Okay, when after the understanding we have to organize. That is, we can explain, we have to organize the data with the help of frequency distribution. Actually, this is a table. This frequency distribution on the basis of marks of mathematics obtained by 100 students. You have to observe the table. You have to observe the marks of mathematics obtained by 100 students. Here, how we can understand? Because seeing the table, we cannot understand how many are passed, how many are failed, how many are got out of 4, how many are got less marks. Actually, how many are there? To identify, it's very tough. To understand, it is highly impossible. That's why, to understand easily that raw data, we have to study, we have to understand frequency distribution. So frequency distribution, it is a method classifying the raw data of quantitative variable. Simple. The frequency distribution is a method Okay, it can classify the raw data of a quantitative variable. So here we have to understand frequency array or actually this is a frequency. We have to understand the frequency. What is the meaning of frequency? The number of values in a particular class. The number of values in a particular class. These are called as classes. Okay, these are called as classes. Each class in a frequency distribution table. Each class in a frequency distribution table bounded by class limits. Actually, in each class we can observe two limits. There are two ends of class. Two ends. First one, second one. First one, second one. First one, second one. Okay, here we can observe two ends of a class. Class limits are the two ends of class. In each class we can observe two ends of class. First one, second one, first one, second one, first one, second one. Okay. This table is based on the marks of mathematics obtained by 100 students. Okay. For 100 students, I divided the classes. Each class having a two ends. One is 0, another one is 10, one is 10, another one is 20, one is 20, another one 30. Okay. Here we can call like these classes. One is lower limit, another one is upper limit. Lowest value is called as lower limit. Highest value is called as higher limit or upper limit. Okay. Lower value is called as lower limit. Higher value is called as upper limit. Don't forget. Lower value is called as lower limit. Higher value is called as upper limit. Lower value is called as lower limit. Higher value is called as upper limit. That means each class having a two ends. Each class having a two class. That is, one is lower limit, another one is upper limit. One is lower limit, another one is upper limit. Okay, these are limits of class. Okay, class limits. Lower limit, upper limit. Why it is called as lower limit? Called as lower limit, like lower value called as lower limit, higher value called as upper limit. This is frequency, the number of values in a particular class. So how we can identify this value? That is, we have to identify in that table. Which table? Marks of mathematics obtained by 100 students. In that table, you have to identify how many are got below 10. Okay, how many are got below 10? That means in the table, I observed a 0 only. Okay, but 10 is not including here. Why? Because 10 it will go for another class. Here, upper limit is excluded. In this type of table or in this type of distribution, upper limit is excluded. Excluded means it is not calculating in this class. It will be calculated in next class. You can observe that one. Okay. So here 20 is the upper limit, but it is excluded. Excluded means it is not including while calculating. You can observe here 10 to 19. There are 8 numbers. 8 students numbers are there. You can observe that one. Okay. Even 20 to 29. 6 members got marks. We can observe that one. But 30 it is not included, it is excluded. That means in this type of table, upper limit is excluded. Don't forget, upper limit is excluded. Right? So these are class limits, lower limit, upper limit. These are frequencies. How we can mention this? On the base of table. In that table, how many are got below below 30? In not excluding 30, how many are below 40? Excluding 40, how many are below 50? Excluding 50. Okay, because 50 it will be counting the next limit, right? Next class, it will be counting next class. These are all frequency. So here, lower classes limits. These are all lower classes limits. These are all upper class limits. You can observe here 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. These are all called as lower class limits. Those which are having a lower values, they are called as lower class limit. And this is upper class limit. You can observe here 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, these are all called as upper class limit. Upper class limit. Then what about the class mark? What is the meaning of class mark? The differences between upper class and lower class. Differences between upper class and lower class. The differences between upper class and lower class limit is called as class interval or class width. Class interval or class width. Otherwise we can say like that, class mark. Then how we can identify that one? This is the differences between upper class limit and lower class limit. Upper class limit and lower class limit. Okay, this we can understand with the help of formula. Class mark, it is also called as class width or class interval. Class width or class interval. How we can identify this one? This is the differences between upper class and lower class. For example, here upper class is 20 plus lower class is 10 equals 30 divided by 2. That means how much? 30 divided by 2. How much it will happen? 30 divided by 2, that is 50. You can observe here. This is the class mark. Class mark is the differences between upper class limit and lower class limit. How you can identify? That is, we can understand with the help of a formula, that is upper class limit plus lower class limit. Okay, upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2. 20 plus 30, that is 20 plus 10, that is 30. 30 divided by 2 is the answer is 50. This is the class limit. Okay, this is the class limit. Right? Are you observing? 20 plus 10, that is 30 divided by 2, that is the value of 50. That is class mark. Class mark is the differences between class mark or class width or class interval. It is differences between upper limit and lower limit. Differences between upper limit and lower limit. Okay. The middle value of class width. The middle value of class width. Middle value is how much? 10. Middle value is how much? 10. The middle value of each class we can call as class width. The middle value of class width. The middle value of class width. Middle value of the class width we can call like class mark. Otherwise midpoint. We can call like midpoint. How we can calculate the midpoint? That is upper class limit plus divided by lower class limit divided by 2. Okay. So this is the class mark. Also it is called as class interval. Class interval means that is the differences between 10 and 20. So that is 10. 10 minus 20. 20 minus 10. Okay, 20 minus 10. The class interval. Class interval is 10. 10 is a middle value. 10 is a middle value. You can observe here between this. Middle value is 10. Here also 10. Here also 10. Middle value. Middle value also we can call as class mark or class width or class interval. Okay, class mark, how you can identify? With the formula, with the help of formula, that is upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2. Okay, so here 20 plus 10, 20 plus 10, that is we can calculate 30 divided by 2, it will come 50. Okay, this is the frequency distribution. Once again I repeat, frequency distribution is a method classifying raw data of quantitative variable. Raw data of quantitative variable. Raw data that is not organized data, that is considered as unorganized data. So with the help of raw data we cannot give any solutions, we cannot understand the problems. Okay, with the help of organized data or with the help of classified data only we can solve the problems. So to understand the problems and to provide the solution, we need to classified the data. So that classification of data that was chronological, spatial, quantitative, qualitative, so that we can express or we can explain, we can implement, we can organize with the help of frequency distribution. Here the frequency distribution is a method classifying raw data of quantitative variable, and frequency is a number of classes or number of values in a particular class, okay, that is frequency. So here lower class, which is having a lower value, that is lower class limit, which is having a higher value, that is upper class limit. Here in this table we have to exclude the upper class limit. We have to exclude. We are not calculating this one because this one we can calculate in next class. Okay, this is the frequency distribution. So this is called as class mark. It is the differences between upper limit and lower limit. How we can identify? How we can calculate? That is upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2. So this is class mark or class width or class interval or class like midpoint. Okay, this can be explained with the help of graph. That is in next class.